Hey y'all, welcome back to Key is King. Today we are getting into another great episode of Salt Lake City. It was definitely an event. Bronwyn is the word of the hour. Or their hour. Less than an hour here, but Bronwyn. That's the word. We open with Whitney and her husband. They're packing for Milwaukee, or helping Whitney pack for Milwaukee, I should say. And Whitney is very happy that they had the ropes course and that Heather got them together so they could work all their issues out, and they just segment to them fighting. Everyone's just fighting. And her husband states the obvious and says, oh, you must hate these women if you're bringing them to Milwaukee in February, or whatever month they're going in. So, then they show Meredith talking to her husband about the trip, and apparently Meredith doesn't want to go, and da-da-da-da. And Seth is shadier and a better addition to the show than Meredith, because he's like, Whitney is like high school algebra, you just don't pay attention. He also said, just go hang out with Heather and Lisa who are evolving with you, which is extra shady because they know Whitney is on her healing journey. So, fire Meredith, hire Seth. They switch over to Bronwyn and her old husband, and I see why she has an interior designer, first of all, because I love tie-dye, but there are so many colors happening in this room and her outfit and everything at one time. But she's talking about the trip, she's bringing a middle finger purse, and she's saying something kind of shady about Lisa and how she's not really feeling it. So, who called it? Me, he, him. I called it. Miss Cleo. Then we move on to Mary, who's calling Whitney to let her know that she will be flying alone. And Mary's a girl after my own heart because she said there is 19 of you, and I'm that type of exaggerator. There could literally be 3 things and I'm like, oh my god, all 20 of these things. It's my process, it's how I get through things. If you don't like it. But Mary is saying that she's going to fly alone because she can't handle that, and she's going to do her own thing, and she has money to do her own thing. And Whitney's like, okay, if it was anybody else I'd give them a hard time. And I bet she would. Because Mary's that girl. And who's going to tell Mary she can't? Mary will eat all of them. Easily. And then go pray about it. So, that was funny. And we have taglines now, and I won't even bother going over them because they all pretty much fucking suck. But Mary's is good. So if you want to look up taglines on your own time, do so. We move on to Angie and her husband, and she's packing for, I almost said Greece because we'll find out in a second, but they're packing for Milwaukee. And Angie runs to get her sunglasses, which are the Greek flag, because as we know, Angie is the Greek camp counselor of life. And so apparently Giannis, if you're familiar with basketball, which I am not, he is a Greek man that plays for Milwaukee. Okay. And so he's there, they call him the Greek freak, and Angie's like, in case I see him, I'm going to have my glasses on. But she's talking about the trip. She was recapping the Lisa fight. She says it was unproductive, and she doesn't know how that's going to go for the trip, and I agree. And she just doesn't really know what the vibes are there. And then she brings up the fact that Brittany might have some real issues to worry about with her weird boyfriend, because her brow girl said that Brittany's boyfriend was DMing her, flirty, trying to talk to her, and Angie proceeds to read their DMs. So if you know who Angie's brow girl is, you know that she just exposed all her business, but I'm sure she let her for the show. But yeah, so Angie's just like, I don't know if I should tell her, should I bring it up, like I don't really know. And she's like, I think I'm going to be a girl's girl and tell her, which she probably should, but even though Brittany and her whole situation are weird as hell. Weird as hell. I'm going to open a intuition fortune teller business because, as predicted, Bronwyn is full-blown mad at Lisa, and there is a hard stop in this friendship. Everyone's pulling up to the airport to go to Milwaukee. Bronwyn gets there, pulls up. Lisa goes up to the car. It's like, hi, gives her a hug. Bronwyn's just like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Icy. She looks pissed. And Lisa's like, do you need help with anything? And she's like, no, I got everything together. Thank you. But as she goes on to say, she is full-blown in rage mode pretty much. She is not happy and not feeling it, and she's the type of person that she is not only not feeling it, she's going to make sure you know she's not feeling it. So like I said, crystal ball. Crystal ball. We move on to the ladies arriving to Milwaukee. Heather giving us random Milwaukee facts that would be... Poor Heather. Poor Heather. They'd be received better from somebody else because I don't want to hear from Heather. This is my truth. So we're getting random facts. The only funny thing that Heather said in this whole moment, Angie goes, "Where are the mountains?" And Heather goes, "It's the plains." That was funny. They show Mary arriving to the hotel struggling once again with not only her luggage but her fashions. I don't know what it is with Mary in these hoods, but they were like literally eating her alive. But she's talking about her dad grew up down the street next door or over the street from Jeffrey Dahmer and would smell decaying bodies when he would walk about, and always thought to himself like, oh, what does that smell? So that's Mary's connection to Milwaukee. Her dad smelling Jeffrey Dahmer. Very Mary. Very Mary. Very Mary. Then they just move into the hotel, blah, 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 blah. Rich people moving into nice hotels. Move on to the ladies having some dinner, food, whatever they're doing. And we get into Whitney's friend, Mei Lee, which I ended up being very close last time. I ended up calling her Melee, but it was Mei Lee. So Mei Lee is talking about how she hasn't had a girls trip since her third or fourth kid or whatever. Wasn't really anything noteworthy. Still didn't give her a confessional, so that means she's not important still, but Whitney tells them they're going to a Milwaukee, whatever their basketball team's name is, game. Angie's hyped because the two Greek freaks are about to be in the building. And then they ask Lisa about her son. I'm sorry to laugh, but she says that her son's not doing well health-wise, and she starts crying. And the women are like, oh my god, like, you can go see him. They'll make an exception because he's on a mission, like a Mormon mission where they like go to a different country and like talk about Jesus to the people, I guess. So he is sick. He has stomach problems, and so Lisa says that he doesn't want her to go. A, because he doesn't really fuck with her, and she just won't accept that. And B, because he said he wanted to handle it on his own. But I'm laughing because I saw on Twitter somebody was talking about it or posted, and they're like, his stomach hurts because he's having real food for the first time, and like seasoned food for the first time. Because Lisa is notoriously in love with fast food, and Mary used to tell her all the time her kids need nutrients and not Taco Bell. So that is just so funny to think the way people on the internets work, just hilarious. But they move on to that, and they go through that, they offer her whatever. Whitney then goes to say that they have events happening. They could either go to the Bobblehead Museum, because Milwaukee has the largest bobblehead museum in the world. And once again, Mary is the reason for everything, and Whitney's really sucking her dick because everybody else hates her. But Mary called her a bobblehead last year. Bobblehead. And so Whitney is doing a nod to Mary by offering half of the women to go to the Bobblehead Museum, and Heather is taking the other half to the casino to gamble because, once again, she's obsessed with being a bad Mormon. So she is going to bring the other hoes gambling, and those both sound like fun things, honestly. I don't know what I would do. These little B-roll footage things that they do before opening a scene always like crack me up. For different reasons. Mary's son calls her to ask for money on Cash App, and she's like, you can't even ask me if I'm okay or safe, and I'm in the land of Jeffrey Dahmer. That was funny. And then, I don't get people like Britt. Britt is Britt's little footage is that she's calling her boyfriend that does not pick up her FaceTime. Embarrassing. Why? Why?
Energy shift.
Then we move on to Angie going to check on Bronwyn because she hears the sounds of a hairdryer going, and apparently that's Angie's bird call, which, as a hairdresser, that makes sense. But she goes to check on Bronwyn because the last time they were all together, things were kind of thick for Bronwyn, and so Bronwyn's like, yeah, my soul kind of like left my body in that moment. It was like beyond like uncomfortable. Lisa didn't defend me, all this stuff, and so she's really like, she's going for it. She is going for it. Baby Gorgeous is in like the scope. And so Angie's like, people sleep on Angie. People think Angie is very genuine. Angie's very nice, but Angie did not get here by coincidence. She's over there because she's beefing with Lisa, and she knows she's beefing with Lisa, and she's taking this little bit of like feeling that she has, and she is making something out of it. She is growing a tree against Lisa right now. And so she's like, well, I just had my own thing with Lisa, so I totally understand. And she was very quiet, and she did not defend you. So, Angie, I see you, babe. I see you, and I love you for it. It's wild that I'm like, I mean, I don't have any real allegiance to these people, but Baby Gorgeous is usually one of my favorites. But she's kind of getting chewed so far this first bit. And so Bronwyn's saying, well, it's interesting because I didn't say the most or the worst things about Maylee. And so they flash back to a cut piece of the scene where Lisa's talking about how one of her little gay boys told her that Maylee is about to get blacklisted from Nordstrom's for returning things too much. So apparently they were really talking-ish, but they made Bronwyn seem like she was. So Bronwyn says, I'm not going to use Lisa's words, but I'm just going to say that she had some words. Then she says, I'm not throwing her under the bus, but I'm just turning the bus on. This is shit I live. I live. We move on to what they are now dubbing themselves as the Buzzin' Cousins, Heather and Whitney, bad weather, if you will. And so they're talking about Meredith. They're talking about how Heather's like, I'm going to take Meredith to the casino with me because they're splitting the day activities, night activities, whatever time they're going. And so she's like, well, how has it been? Like, what is it like? And so Whitney says that as an olive branch, she told Meredith to bring some of her caviar to the trip, which I guess in a sense it's an olive branch that you are trying to include her in an element of the trip. But she says that Meredith pretty much responds with, yeah, I was doing that already, thank you. Okay. You mad about fish eggs, girl? But so Whitney's like, it was kind of bitchy, it's whatever, like, I guess she's mad still, I don't know. But it's making Whitney feel like, maybe she's being standoffish, maybe something's still wrong. Maybe she doesn't want to move forward with me at all. Okay. They go on to talk about Bronwyn, and so Whitney's just like, I like Bronwyn, she seems cool, like, and Heather is really not playing. She's like, am I the only one that, like, sees the fact that Bronwyn is just, like, playing it up to whoever she's in front of? And y'all know how I feel about Heather, but she is completely right in this moment, and maybe I'm just, I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but, like, as she's, like, making a point, I'm thinking in my head in the scene, oh, she looks kind of good. After talking pure jack shit about Heather, which I will continue to do, by the way. But I'm just like, how fake of me. But like I said, you gotta give credit where credit's due. She was making sense. She was saying that Bronwyn is just essentially playing up to whoever she's in front of. And she's really like trying to warn Whitney, like, I just think you should pay attention to this. This is what I'm seeing. And Whitney's like, I'm just confused because I really like her. Like, we really got along. And Heather's like, I'm telling you. And I watched oh, that's what's happening because it's the same word. I watched what's happening live? Yeah. Yeah, wow. I watched what's happening live with Heather on it, and she was saying that, like, the audience will see what she's talking about later, so I hope Bronwyn does not flop like they let Monica flop. They, like, kind of made Monica flop, but that was the Buzzin' Cousins. So, everyone's getting together before they go their separate ways for their outings, and Angie comes down looking like the Greek flag beat her up. But in a good way. She's just dripped from glasses to jacket to jersey that's, like, stoned out. Just Greek as hell. And I live for it. They're all just like, oh my god, Angie is a mess. But the first group goes to the casino because Heather is just so insistent on proving to everyone that she's the fun girl. So they're going to the casino, they're gambling. Lisa's explaining why she's Mormon 2.0 because she's gambling, which is frowned upon and, like, very shunned in the Mormon community, but she's not addicted, so it's okay. Alright. So she is doing her Mormon 2.0 thing. They're all having fun and whooping it up, as Vicky would say. The OG from the OC. Then we move on to the girls at the Bobblehead Museum, and they're very funny to me. It's kind of a whack outing, as Bronwyn is kindly saying, not so kindly, but she makes it clear that her idea of a scavenger hunt, because they're going to do a scavenger hunt for the bobbleheads, there's 10,000 of them. Her idea of a scavenger hunt is like going shopping and finding really cute clothes and lying to people about where she got them from because she doesn't want them to copy her. Which is a lot for a share about bobblehead museum experience. But that's what she's there for. So they're going through the bobblehead museum looking for the bobbleheads. And then they have a little funny moment with the Golden Girls, and they're saying which one would be which. And Mary goes, yeah, they're just like the Golden Girls. Some of us have our periods and some of us don't. Okay, Mary. Okay. We jump back to the casino girls, and Lisa's telling Britt that they are over Jared. They're like, stop talking about him. We do not care. He's not your identity. Like, she's like, please cut all the Jared talk now. Now. And so Britt's like, why? And so he texts her. Apparently Lisa grabs the phone, texts him back some like dismissive stuff. And she's like, but he just asked me to be his girlfriend. She's a fucking weirdo. But at least Lisa's letting her know, stop talking about the man. We are tired of it. We are tired of it. And so, of course, they next go to Heather being a messy bitch, because she is a messy bitch. She's pulling Meredith over to the side, and she's like, so, how are things with Whitney? Like, she said you were cold when she offered her olive branch. And Meredith is like, an olive branch of me bringing caviar? What type of olive branch is that? She's like, if you want an olive branch, how about apologizing for treating me like shit? That'd be the olive branch. And so Heather's like, oh my god. And so Meredith is not done though, because Meredith is claiming that Whitney is taking her jewelry designs and copying and pasting them from Alibaba. And that she's just upping the price. And so this shakes the buzzing cousin Heather. She's like, what? So Meredith is coming for blood. Meredith wants to fight. Okay. And not only is Meredith saying that, they are posting the receipts, and it is a copy and paste of what Whitney is selling versus Alibaba. It was like $20 versus like $80. I stand corrected. It was like $4 versus $50. Damn, Whit. Meredith makes a really good point. She says that if the roles were reversed, that Whitney would be dragging her if Meredith did this. And she's really not wrong. They then cut back to a flashback scene that was happening apparently at the same time that Angie and Bronwyn were having a conversation of Lisa in Meredith's room. And some way or another, Lisa turns her, I'm happy that Whitney brought me here and this is a step in the right direction, to did you see the stuff about her business? And so Meredith conveniently knows and has been sent DMs and messages about Whitney copy and pasting Alibaba's stock pictures and just really seeming to be a biter. And so now this is a part of the fight. And so Lisa's bringing it up, which is gotcha. And Meredith is taking it and running with it. Apparently she knows all about this and she's about to expose Whitney for all of this, which she has because it's now on national television and I'm talking about it. So it's definitely take down Whitney season for that side of the line. And Heather's like acting shocked. Meredith says she's gotten like 100 DMs, and if she got the messages or comments, Heather must have gotten them too, because people typically send all the stuff to all the ladies, like on social media, is the pattern I've noticed. And so Heather, of course, takes this and makes a monologue of how damaging this person is, and it's oddly specific that they're going to go after Whitney in this way and destroy her. And so, funnily enough, the editing team is hilarious. They cut to Lisa at the roulette table going, can I spin it? Which, it's not lost on me, that editing. But Meredith just keeps going on about how this is bad. She has 15 years experience in the business. Whitney should have came to her. She would have never let this happen to her. All this other stuff. So Heather is suggesting, well, you should talk about it. You should tell her, like, call her out, but not in a bad way. In a way that's like, hey, I want to offer you support, and I want to help you if I can. Just a messy veneer-wearing, Ozempic taken lady. Just messy. And so Meredith's just like, I don't know if I want to be her friend, because Meredith has said that for this entire conversation. Heather's just like, I'm still going to try to be messy. But Meredith's like, I don't know if I want to be her friend. She doesn't seem to want to be my friend. She's had issues with me for years, like, I'm good, I think. Once again, these little filler cutscenes are just sometimes so funny. Bronwyn, on her ride over to wherever they're going, I think the game, is talking about how she fucks an old man with gout. Girl. So the ladies start their experience at the Bucks game. I've learned that they're called the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks. They started courtside. Apparently, Angie's Greek freak did not want to say hi to her, even though she was literally wearing every Greek flag item she could think to make and or find. So sorry for Angie, but they're courtside, they're taking pictures. Apparently a couple of them are big fans of this one basketball player that they did get to meet. I wonder why he got so lucky. And it's just filler, but we move to the suite and it's popping off in the suite. So we get to the suite and they have just a smorgasbord of food. They have like lobster corn dogs, I think, and a bunch of different things, which now that I've heard about it, I need to try a lobster corn dog. I need to. But they are at the game, they're watching the game, everybody's having fun. Mary apparently tells, whew, God bless Mary. Mary tells Angie that she doesn't use public restrooms because Angie's going to go and ask her if she needs to come. Mary says that she just sticks tampons in herself and it takes care of having to pee when you're out in public. So I'm pretty sure that means she's saying she's just peeing into a tampon. But I think she was also trying to say that maybe it like stops her, like prevents her from peeing. And I hope it's the latter because my God, how many kooks can one kook have? Mary is wild. Mary's wild. But then we move on to Weird Ass Brittany, which is officially her full government name, Weird Ass Brittany. So we have Weird Ass Brittany, and she, in the middle of a basketball game, FaceTimes her boyfriend, who's not really her boyfriend, that she went to Costco with, and Lisa's just like, are you taking a selfie? Are you taking a selfie? Like, why are you taking a selfie? Because she knows damn well she's calling that man, and she's trying to either call her out or she's trying to, like, convince herself that she's not calling this man in the middle of a girls' night at a basketball game. But she is, and he finally answers her. And she's, like, literally just sitting at the phone just like, Weird Ass Brittany. W-A-B. Weird Ass Brittany. So she's, like, showing Heather, like, he's on the phone. And as she's doing that, Angie and Bronwyn are literally sitting pretty much on her shoulders. Like, they are so close to her, just talking about her out loud. And Angie's, like, talking shit. And then she goes, oh my God, look, they're on the phone right in front of us. And so they're looking at her. They go, like, hi. They say hi and everything. And then Angie proceeds to tell Bronwyn everything about the brow girl. She's like, my brow girl, she said that he's been DMing her and all this stuff. Proceeds to show her the screenshots of the DMs and the conversations as this woman is sitting on their knees. Like, they're pretty much on each other's laps, and Angie's just like, yeah, and Bronwyn's like, that's not cool. Like, Bronwyn's fully just being like, they're just talking loud as hell, to the point where Brittany goes, are you talking about me? Are you talking to me? Are you talking about me? And so she is now face to face with them, and Angie's like, well, yes, my brow girl, and she tells her the whole thing, and she's like, I'm just being a girl's girl, and I really wanted to tell you, and I know it's uncomfortable, and I didn't know if I should. And what does W-A-B do? She starts crying, and she's like, I'll be right back. And as she's walking past Bronwyn goes, oh, she's upset. Or something to that effect. And Meredith, I don't know what Meredith's trying to do. I don't know if she just is, it's like a camera time thing, or she's like, she claims she's really sad for her and she feels for her. But Meredith walks her out rubbing her shoulders. Okay. And Brittany comes back to say how sad she is and how upsetting it is and how da-da-da. And Meredith straight up is just like, well, maybe when he doesn't answer you, it's because he wants to be dating somebody else. Which, that was a confessional, but still. Okay, Meredith, you get a point. So Meredith walks Britt to the bathroom, and she's just trying to, like, give her some support. And Britt reveals that she's had suspicions, but to get confirmation is just So sad. That is true, but like you're also weird. And you knew, or should I, forgive me, you should have known that something was up the way this man was treating you, but worried about the wrong things, worried about the wrong things. And so Meredith does say in her confessional that like, well, maybe this man is like breaking up with her when he wants to see somebody else, like, because they've been dating for 8 months and broke up 16 times, I think she said. And so Meredith is just like, okay, if I was in that person's shoes or in her shoes, I'd want somebody to be there for me, and I'd be sad. So I guess that makes sense, but okay. I find it hilarious that in the middle of all this cheating stuff, Whitney just comes over randomly and is like, a man just gave me money. And Angie's like you're a hooker? I just have to shout out the scene of Mary and Angie dancing, holding the Greek flag, because their friendship seems so genuine and so pure. And I love it, and it's just always gonna make me smile, and I can't say it enough. I love this duo. Everything they do together seems to be magic. So it was just a great little cutscene. So Lisa leans over to Bronwyn, and she's like, hey, so how was your day at the museum? Like, what happened? And Bronwyn's like, funny you mentioned that. I think that we should have a talk about something that I told Maylee. Sorry, girl. And so if we flash back to Bronwyn and Maylee. Yep, not Melee. Maylee. So we flash back to Bronwyn and Maylee at the museum, and Bronwyn's like, well, you should be very concerned about what Lisa had to say about your clothes, because as suspected, they definitely cut out some of the Maylee stuff, and Bronwyn was clearly talking about her looks or lack thereof, and the lack thereof money and or fashions that this woman had. And so she's like, well, that really like bothered me that you said that about my clothes or whatever. And she's like, well, you should really be concerned about what Lisa had to say. So flashback to the basketball game, and Bronwyn's like, well, I told her what you said essentially, which triggers Maylee to hear her name, and she's like, oh, I hear my name. And Meredith's like, all I'm gonna say is stand up for yourself. So she goes over there, and she's like kind of inquiring to like what was happening. She's like, Lisa, I heard you had a lot to say about my clothes. And so Lisa's like, I made a snarky comment after she made her snarky comment referencing Bronwyn. And Lisa's trying not to like go there. She's like, it's not that deep, da-da-da-da. Bronwyn goes on to be in her confessional and is like, there's clearly a crack forming in this friendship, and she's nervous about the crack, but she's also like, you are not about to just make me the scapegoat for all your shit. And so as she's kind of throwing Lisa under the bus, she's like, and Heather did the same thing. So like, if you guys want to like be all shady and be snarky and get away with it, you're gonna have to let me get away with some stuff too, because like, we're all taking turns here, we're all bitches here, is essentially what Bronwyn was saying. But she threw Heather and Lisa right up under the bus. So we are bringing this episode to an end with Bronwyn in a catfight, essentially with Heather and Lisa, because Bronwyn proceeds to go on and tell Lisa that she feels like she just didn't defend her. She was kind of quiet, she didn't step in to stop it, and she could have really stopped it. And Lisa feels like, hey, I defended you, I tried to say something in your defense, and maybe you didn't like it, or maybe I didn't say it the way that you're exactly saying it, but Lisa feels that she did stick up for Bronwyn, and Bronwyn feels like she did not. And Bronwyn, in fact, feels like if she would have acted the way that Lisa did, that Lisa would be pissed that she didn't try to step in to say something in her defense, or just try to, like, get all the heat off of her. So Bronwyn is, like, very serious in the fact that I don't think you did enough, and I think you'd be pissed if you did to me what happened. Meredith was there at one point and was kind of defending Lisa, like, I didn't feel that that happened, I felt like she defended you. And Bronwyn's like, nope, not buying it. And she proceeds to go on to say that Heather and Lisa were just as bad. And she literally looks at Heather and goes, we are going to need to get some things straightened out if we're going to continue. Which offends Heather because Heather can't take anything direct in her life, besides Ozempic apparently. And so Heather's like, oh, you want to talk to me like that? You need to get yourself together. You don't need to talk to me like this. And Bronwyn's like, well, you guys are trying to trash talk me, and I am like a fan of Whitney, and I'm just meeting Whitney. And Heather's like, you're a fan? After saying all these horrible things? Cut to Whitney, who's like, I'm glad that Heather's like defending me, but like I think she's doing a little projecting, and I think she's doing a little bit much trying to blame Bronwyn. So look, You're doing all this stupid shit, and Whitney doesn't even care about your defense like that. So you need to chill the fuck out. Like, really, Heather. Chill the fuck out. But Bronwyn is not letting go. She's like, you guys talk shit about Whitney and her using her trauma to her advantage, and you guys are longer friends with her. Like, how is that not a bigger problem? And lo and behold, they cut back to Lisa and Heather talking shit about Whitney using her trauma and saying that they can't approach her because of her trauma, so who are you really trying to get caught up here, ladies? But Bronwyn's like, nope, if you're going to talk shit, you're going to let me talk shit, and we're all talking shit. And she was like, I'm not the root of this problem, and she's right. So she was like, I don't want to hear it. Don't try to blame it on me. And that's how we end the episode. Another fantastic showing from our Salt Lake City girlies. I can't wait for next... I almost said season. I don't want the next season to be here already. I just can't wait for next episode. So please, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Please let me know your thoughts beneath. And I'll see you soon for something else.